Our third segment of covalent bonding is going to pick up where we left off following the calculations for our structures. And as we revisit the general rules, we want to remember to put the least electronegative element in the middle, look for symmetry, remember that hydrogen is only single bonded, and that halogens are usually only single bonded. So we are back at our practice problems with our calculations. So the first thing that we want to consider, and we're going to start with SIF4, is that between silicon and fluorine, silicon is the least electronegative. So we will place silicon in the middle. We have 4 fluorines that we're going to place around our central atom in a symmetrical fashion. Now, from the standpoint of our math, we have calculated the number of shared electrons, which, as we look at the yellow highlighter, came out to be 8, which translates into 4 bonds. So that is telling me that I have 8 shared electrons, which is going to give me 4 bonds. So moving over to the red pen, what this will look like is that we have a single bond between each fluorine and the central silicon. And as I'm doing this, I'm exaggerating the bonds by putting the electrons on the end of it. So if we look at the standpoint of what we've calculated, we have 4 bonds. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 bonds that we've now placed between the silicon and the fluorine. And if we look at the number of electrons, and I'll highlight these for you in green, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 in terms of our number of electrons. Okay, now in addition to that, we have calculated 24 lone electrons. Okay, now with the 24 lone electrons, what we want to do is we want to place those around the fluorines to get everybody to have an octet. Because as we look at this particular structure, and I will redraw this in one shade to give you an example of what it should look like. Okay, so we have our single bonds between the silicon and the fluorines. Okay, so there's our structure, and we've accounted for the fact that the silicon has an octet, because as the silicon electrons and the fluorine bonds are made, and we count our red electrons, silicon has 4 that are directly associated with it. 1, 2, 3, 4, and it has the additional 4 that are on the fluorines. Okay, now, so that doesn't mess up our illustration, now let's look at the fact that we have these 24 lone electrons that have to be accounted for. So that means that each fluorine, in order to get it to an octet, so each fluorine needs to get to 8. Each fluorine already has 1, 2. So each one needs 6 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So by placing 6 around the fluorine, out of my 24 original ones, I'm now down to 18 left over. So I'll place 6 around this fluorine, 6 around this one, and so on until I use up all of them. Okay, so a very simple summary structure of this would be silicon, 4 bonds, and then our lone electrons around the silicon. So that as you're moving forward, not all of your drawings need to be quite so dramatic in terms of having the arrows and counting. So that's our first one, SIF4. So as we look at NH3, we can apply the same information. We have nitrogen and hydrogen, keeping in mind that hydrogen is always single bonded and never a central atom. So that means that my nitrogen has to go in the middle. I have 3 hydrogens. Place them around it in the most symmetrical manner possible. I've calculated that I have 3 bonds. So 1, 2, 3 bonds. And in this case, I only have 2 electrons that are alone. So here are my 2 lone electrons. Now, if you look, each hydrogen may have an electron and then another electron shared with it to get to that number of 2 for hydrogen. Again, referring back to what we saw previously in terms of the number of electrons that can be associated with hydrogen, which is 2. Because again, hydrogen can only form a single bond. So each of these little hydrogens is perfectly fine. Now, withdrawing the purple electrons on the bonds, if you count each of those with me, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 electrons that are also associated with nitrogen as well. So if we look at the fact that we have 2 lone electrons left over and the nitrogen already has 6, if we place the remaining 2 electrons on the nitrogen, it gets us to the magic number of 8 for our octet. So again, just to kind of clean this up for you, here's what your structure would look like with the lone electrons. And there it is. So as we go to our next examples and we follow the same pattern with carbon dioxide, least electronegative element is oxygen. Aiming for symmetry, put oxygens either on left and right, or if you prefer, you could do top and bottom. Okay, either one would work. We've calculated that we have 4 bonds. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now we've created what's called a double bond. We actually have 2 double bonds. Okay, now 8 lone electrons. Here's what we have left over. Again, if you look at the central atom, which is your carbon, and you recall that each of these bonds, remember that a bond consists of 2 electrons. Okay, so if you have 1, 2, if you have a double bond, you actually have 4 electrons. So that means that the carbon, if you count, has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 electrons. It's gotten to an octet, so it's good. But if we look over at both oxygens, which mimic one another, both oxygens right now only have 4 red dots, in other words, 4 electrons. So that is where my 8 lone electrons are going to come in. I'm going to split them up. I'm going to give the oxygen on the left 4, and I'm going to give the oxygen on the right 4 to get me to a total of 8 for an octet around each oxygen. And again, cleaning it up, that's what your structure would look like. HCN. All right, we know that hydrogen cannot go in the middle, so hydrogen has to be on the end. Between carbon and nitrogen, carbon is least electronegative, so we're going to place the carbon and then the nitrogen. And we've calculated 4 bonds. So hydrogen can only have a single bond. Therefore, the remaining 3 bonds are going to go between the carbon and nitrogen, giving us our triple bond. And let's look at our octet. Hydrogen is fine because remember we know that hydrogen has an electron and it can share an electron. Okay, now look at the carbon. Carbon has the electrons on the left, so there's the 2. It also has 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, so it has an octet. Therefore, when you look at nitrogen and you now look at my yellow dots, nitrogen has 6 yellow dots associated with it. The remaining 2 electrons are going to go on the nitrogen. And you may also notice that when I've put my lone electrons on my atoms, I kept them as a pair. Okay, so this right here is a very important to keep those little dots as a pair. So when I finished the second video lesson, I had asked you to try these for practice and just check to see how you did with your math. You will notice that I do not have all of the math written out, okay, but as we look at the values that we have and then we go ahead and put our structures together. For oxygen, we have 2 oxygens, O2, so we're going to put them side by side. We calculated 2 bonds, okay, so there's our double bond, and 8 lone electrons. We're going to split them up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 for oxygen. Silicon dioxide, Si in the middle, oxygens on either side of it, so look for symmetry. And let's see, silicon dioxide. You're going to notice that there's something strange with this one. We have in fact calculated 3 bonds. That means that one of your oxygens is going to have a single bond. The other oxygen will have a double bond, and that can happen. Okay, so don't let that surprise you. Now, when you go to calculate or to apply your 12 lone electrons, as we look at them, we want to make sure that we get to our octet. You can start with any element. Let's do the oxygen on the left. The oxygen on the left has a single bond, okay, so it has 2 electrons. So to get to an octet, we need 6 more. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So out of 12, we just used 6 of them. So we have 6 left over. So if we look at our oxygen on the right, it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we just used 4 more. We have 2 lone electrons left over. So as we investigate, our silicon right now has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 electrons. It needs 2 more. We're going to put them on the top of silicon to give it a lone electron pair on the top. Okay, and again, let's just clean this one up. Okay, so that it looks nice. Okay, in terms of your bonding. Okay, now, as we're going along, the last 2 that I asked you to look at involved some exceptions to the octet rule. So just to make sure that you did these problems correctly, boron has a multiplier number of 6. Okay, so check your math. That should have been a 6. And beryllium has a multiplier number of 4. So if you accidentally used an 8 there, you're going to want to pause the video and correct those. Once they are corrected, it's going to guide you to your structures. Boron, central atom, 3 iodines. Iodines do happen to be halogens. And we have 3 bonds. 1, 2, 3, 18 lone electrons. Each iodine needs 6, which takes care of all 18. And as we go to beryllium, again, make sure you've corrected your multiplier number if you happen to have used an 8 instead of a 4. Let's put our beryllium in the middle. And as we look at the fluorines, we calculated 2 bonds. So 1, 2, 12 lone electrons. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Gets each of our fluorines to 8. Now again, if you're thinking, okay, wait a minute, the beryllium and the boron did not get to the octet of 8, that is okay, because boron will only get to 6, that is correct. Beryllium will only get to 4, which is also correct. So at this point, the video concludes and we will move on to the last 2 types of structures that can occur with covalent bonding.